We'll begin with the word of prayer. John Paul, would you lead some prayer, please? Amen. We're going to be in Psalms chapter 49. Okay, so before we get to Psalms 49, there's not just one writer of the book of Psalms. Each psalm has a writer, of course. And the book of Psalms is divided up in different writers. Like you have David. He wrote 75 of the Psalms. Asaph who was a priest. He wrote 12. The sons of Korah wrote 11. Solomon wrote 2. Moses wrote 1. Heman 1. Ethan 1. And there are 47. We don't know who wrote them. They just psalms that give God the glory, and they don't contradict any other writing. So we look at these psalms, and they just make a lot of sense. But the one we're going to look at tonight, Psalms chapter 49, it's a lot is said about who wrote it, and also a lot what they wrote. There's two things to consider. Sometimes we say, that's a great book. And we read the book and we like what the book says. But how many times do we investigate the author? What about his life? His life may be just as fascinating as the book is. Well, here in chapter 49 and verse 1, to the chief musician, a psalm of the sons of Korah. The sons of Korah. The name probably sounds familiar. And they might be, these were the last individuals you would think that would write a psalm, but they did. If you remember back in the day of Moses, Korah was one of 4 men who tried to lead a revolution against Moses. They didn't like the way he was doing things, and they wanted to overthrow Moses. And Korah was a cousin to Moses to begin with. And he told Moses that we are just as important as you are. Why can't we, meaning Korah and the other 3 individuals, why can't we run things? Who put you in charge? And he should have never said that, but he did. Who put you in charge? And not only were they speaking against Moses, they were speaking against Aaron as well. Aaron was the high priest here. And they were speaking against him. Who put him in charge? Why can't we have some say what goes on in the tabernacle? And on it goes. And Moses tried to reason with him. He says, you're here complaining against me because I'm a leader of the people and God's put me in charge of this. And here you are, you've been a priest, and Korah and these others were priests. He said, you can do things that nobody else can do. Why are you complaining against me? Why are you throwing this up to me? That you're mad because of what I do. When you're in the same position, God has put you in a position to do what only you are to do. Well, they didn't like it. And this riffraff was spreading throughout the people of Israel there. And God told the people, he told Korah, tomorrow we'll see who God has put in charge. We'll just see. We'll let him decide. and he'll show the people, is it me or is it you who is to be in charge? So the next morning, Moses, they get up, and Korah and these 3 other men, they're there, and Moses warns the people, stay away from them. Something's fixing to happen, and you better stay away from them. And I figured the people started backing up. And Moses said, now, if these men die in a very unusual way, then you'll know that God has put me in charge. But if these men die, just like everybody else dies of old age, but then you'll know that I'm not your leader, and God will be the one who would choose who the leader should be. And if you remember what happens, the earth opens up. In Numbers 16, 30 through 33. But if the Lord creates a new thing, and the earth opens its mouth and swallows them up with all that belongs to them, and they go down alive into the pit, then you will understand that these men have rejected the Lord. Now it came to pass, as he finished speaking all these words, that the ground split apart under them, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up, and their households and all the men with Korah with all their goods. So they and all those who went down alive into the pit, the earth closed over them, and they perished from among the assembly. So no sooner than Moses gets the words out of his mouth, it opens up, sinkhole, what we might call it today, and down they go. And it closes back up. And you just don't die that. That's not a natural way of dying. So God made a statement here. It's going to be Moses who is going to be your leader about this. So these men, 4 men, families, tents, everything about them, they're gone. And as if they never existed. Now we go to chapter 26 of Numbers. Continue reading something here that's interesting. Numbers 26 and verse 9. These are the men that teamed up with Korah. The sons of Eliab were Nemel, Dathan, and Abram. So you had Korah, Nemel, Nathan, Abram. They were the ones that were causing these problems. They're the ones that lost everything. It says, and these are the Dathan and Abram representatives of the congregation who contended against Moses and Aaron and accompanied Korah when they contended against the Lord. And the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up together with Korah when that company died, when the fire devoured 250 men, and they became a sign. Nevertheless, the children of Korah did not die. Korah's children did not agree with Korah. No, here he is trying to cause this rebellion. And his children say, Dad, you don't need to be doing this. You don't need to be going against the Lord here. He has put Moses in charge. You need to listen. But Dad would not listen. And when time came for the ground to open up, Korah's children, they backed out of there. They got out. They didn't support their father. They weren't going to do anything that would jeopardize their life as well. So these sons here did something that quite incredible. They stood up against their father and said, you're wrong. You're going against the Lord. Don't do that. And now we have these sons. Maybe not the sons themselves. Maybe it's the sons and children and grandchildren or great-grandchildren down the road that wrote Psalms chapter 49. And as they write these things, I'm sure that they knew the story of their father, grandfather, great-grandfather, how many years had passed. That story got passed down from generation to generation to generation. And they told that story, and they probably were telling their children, always be faithful to God. If someone else here is trying to carry you in the wrong direction, Don't listen, even if it's on your own family. Don't do it. Because it is God who we serve. And probably the most difficult verse in the Bible. It's easy to understand, but difficult to follow. It's Matthew 10:37. He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. That's a difficult verse. To take a stand against a family member, those that you love, those that have been around all your life, and then from the standpoint of what Christ is speaking of here when it comes to truth, you've got to take a stand against them. Not that you don't like them or that you don't love them. You love the Lord more than them. So therefore, it's a difficult thing, and that's what the sons of Korah did. They took a stand against their father. We're not going to have this. This is not right. And they backed away. If not, they would have went down with their parents and everybody else that was there. So we go back to Psalms 49 and verse 1. Again, to the chief musician, a psalm of the sons of Korah. Now we know a little bit about the history of these men, these sons or grandsons or great-grandsons that wrote this book here. And we can see that they overcame their heritage. And they started a new legacy. And in their families, God was going to come first. And they put him first. And God allowed them to write this psalm and 10 others that they wrote. But it helps to know a little bit about the author when it comes to knowing what they wrote. Now let's look at the chapter, verses 1 through 4. And see, what did they say? To the chief musician, a psalm of the sons of Korah. Hear this, all peoples. Give ear, all inhabitants of the world, both low and high, rich and poor together. My mouth shall speak wisdom, and the meditation of my heart shall give understanding. I will incline my ear to a proverb. I will disclose my dark saying on the harp. So what they're about to say, like in verse 1, hear this, all people, everyone, all inhabitants. What they're about to say covers everybody. Nobody is exempt from it. Low and high, wherever you stand in society, wherever you stand in education, whatever, low or high, it covers you. Rich and poor, doesn't matter. This psalm here is directed to everyone, rich or poor. So again, he's covering everyone who he's speaking to here. And he says in verse 3, my mouth is about to speak some wisdom. And you need to think about this in your heart, and so you can come to an understanding of what I'm about to say. And he says, I will incline my ear to a proverb there in verse 4. I'm going to tell you a proverb or a story here with truth to it. He says, I will disclose my dark saying. That doesn't mean some kind of, we think of a dark saying, something that's immoral or not good. Think more of a riddle, something you really got to think about. Is where the word comes from. On the harp. As this son of Korah or sons of Korah are writing this, they're playing a harp for background music. Making it maybe easier to understand. I don't know. But this is a saying here that they want everyone to listen to and take it serious because it applies to everyone. Verse 5 through 9. Here's what they have to say. Put it in your mind, hear harp music in the background. Why should I fear in the days of evil, when the iniquity at my heels surrounds me? Those who trust in their wealth and boast in their multitude of their riches, none of them can by any means redeem his brother, nor give to God a ransom for him. For the redemption of their souls is costly. It shall cease forever. That he should continue to live eternally and not see the pit. Make sure that you have a trust of the right one, is what he's saying. When times get difficult, when you are surrounded by iniquity, by those who don't necessarily agree with you, and you got to remember where your faith is to be. When it comes to death, your riches and your wealth will do you no good. It can't be stopped. You might can prolong it. You may can have certain treatments that maybe some others couldn't have because maybe they don't have insurance. You got insurance. And maybe you can prolong your life a few years. But it's coming. You can't keep it away. You can't keep it away from your brother. I don't care how much money he has or you have, and you try to throw at it, it's coming. Death is coming. And you can't exchange your soul for someone else, he says. You can't take their place. So when it comes to one's soul, only God is the one that can redeem that soul. You can't buy them salvation. You can't purchase salvation for them. And therefore, he's saying here, there's no one rich enough to keep death away. It's coming. And that's what he's trying to get across. Everybody listen to it, he says. Rich or poor, the low or the high, is coming. You need to be prepared for it when it does happen. 10 through 14. For he sees wise men die, likewise the fool and the senseless person perish, and leave their wealth to others. Their inner thought is that their houses will last forever, their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. Nevertheless, though in honor does not remain, he is like the beasts that perish. There is the way of those who are foolish, and of their posterity who approve their sayings, Selah. Like sheep they are laid in the grave. Death shall feed on them. The upright shall have dominion over them in the morning, and their beauty shall be consumed in the grave, far from their dwelling. He wants everyone to know that when you die, you leave it all behind, and you no longer have control over it. Whoever you leave it to, they now have control over everything you work for, all the ways you tried to hold on to it. When you leave, it turns over to somebody else. Solomon in Ecclesiastes, he talked about this, and he couldn't stand it. It made him angry. When he said, I worked all my life to gain all this wealth, and when I die, I have no control over it. Now, we may think, well, I can tell this person to use it this way or spend it this way or don't this or don't that. Well, you may think you can. And maybe to some degree you can. But really, you have no control over what they do with it. No control whatsoever. And it may be spent in a wise way, or it may be spent in a foolish way. But the writer is trying to tell, these sons of Korah are trying to tell us there's more to life than just the here and now. He says there in verse 2, they think their houses will last forever. They don't see themselves ever dying. Many people don't. You might think, how can one be so foolish and not know that it's coming? Well, they don't see it. If they saw it, they would be making preparation for it. No, that's why we're here tonight. We know it's coming. And whenever it does come, we want to be prepared for it when it happens. And that's why we are here, why we come on Sunday, and why we live a faithful life all during the week. We know it's coming. But there are some people who never see themselves ever facing death. They never see it. Oh, that they say, yeah, I know what's going to happen. they never prepare for it. There are a lot of individuals that, one day I'll do what is right, or they knew what they should do, and then just that quick they find themselves in a situation where they can't do anything about it. And the lesson that we can learn from these people who maybe didn't prepare but wish they had before they passed on, don't wait. That's the lesson we learn from them. Don't wait. These people here are going to wait. Time is coming, he says, we're going to be just like the animals. We're going to be buried, dead and buried. And he wants us to know we're not getting out of this world alive. As one person said, it's hard to focus on going home when you think you are already home. And that's where the problem is. As Christians, we know we're not home. We know our citizenship is in heaven. But those who refuse to think about heaven think this is their home. Again, they think their houses are going to last forever, and they're not. We have a lot of distractions, and sometimes we let those distractions distract us. And don't let that happen, what the sons of Korah are saying. 15 through 20. But God will redeem my soul from the power of the grave, for he shall receive me. Zelah. Do not be afraid when one becomes rich, when the glory of his house is increased. For when he dies, he shall carry nothing away. His glory shall not descend after him. Though while he lives, he blesses himself, for men will praise you when you do well for yourself. He shall go to the generation of his fathers. They shall never see light. A man who is in honor, yet does not understand, is not the beasts that perish. Well, if you're right with the Lord, the Lord's going to take care of your soul. Verse 15. He's going to take care of it. The grave will have no power over your soul. When death comes, it means everybody's equal. Death puts everybody on the same playing field. Everybody's equal. No one has an advantage. You may look at a person who has a lot of, maybe has done well for himself, but he's an unrighteous individual. And you may think, wow, how can he prosper so much and yet do so many things against God? Well, the writer here says, don't worry about it. The time's coming. You're going to be just like him. Or he's going to be like you. You're going to be equal. Equal before God. And understand, one day, you're going to be just like the animals. Going to die. Body's going to go away. Back to dust. To God, where he formed it from. But don't worry about this for the faithful individual. God's going to keep his promise, and he's not going to let the soul become of that way. Did you know that you can buy clothing that has no pockets? It looks like pockets. Pants that look like they have pockets, but they don't. You can buy dress suits that look like they have the side pockets, but they don't. They got the little flaps. They're cheaper than your average clothing. Who purchases those? People purchase them for the dead. No, they're cheaper. They can't carry anything with them. You can buy, there's a line of clothing out there, places where you can buy those. Because, again, you can take nothing with you. Don't need pockets in the grave. And that's what he's telling us here. Again, focus on the what's to come and be prepared for that. So we go back to verse 1 through 4. Just here's the message. Hear this, all people, all inhabitants, low and high, rich and poor. Listen to these words. This is a faithful saying of God. as to what's going to take place. Don't have a fear of death, but respect it and be prepared for it. And you'll be okay. God will keep His promise. Certainly will. Anything on the 49, what these sons of Korah had to say? Did they have their father in mind when they wrote this? They could have. Here's maybe the Korah wanted the leadership for the wrong reason. He wanted power. He wanted to gain wealth from that power. Maybe, we don't know why Korah wanted it other than just to be in control. And his life left pretty quick. When the last word came out of Moses' mouth, down he went. And it closed up on him. Anything on Psalms 49? Okay, about time for the Bible. We'll conclude here.